Now, as the last type of masking that is available in Photoshop, let's understand clipping mask. Clipping mask work very similarly to layer and vector mask. There is one benefit of using clipping mask over layer and vector mask. While we are using the layer mask, we cannot see the entire output on a big canvas, the area that has been painted black or white. Similarly, with vector mask, it is slightly hard to see the exact area on the big screen. But that's where clipping mask comes in handy. Let's see that how. So I've reset these two layers to its original shape. Now how a clipping mask works is basically we can create a simple layer. Let's say I create a text over here that says woods, or let's do something slightly tackier. It says urban woods. So I have a text over here. Let me make it big on screen. Keeping it somewhere in the center right here. With this, I have a text that I can see. Now, what if I want the image behind this to be visible only in the center, only in the areas which are marked by the text? To do that, let's see how that works. Let me drag this text underneath the layer, and over here you can observe closely. When I press Alt or Option on the Mac, there's a small icon that changes between the two layers. When I click on that, the layer now has a small down arrow icon. Now this icon represents that this layer, layer 0, is basically the clipping mask for this text. And in action, how does this happen? The layer, which is layer 0, which is basically the clipping mask on which the clipping mask has been applied, is visible only in the areas where the text is. So now I can move this particular text around, and the layer behind will be visible exactly where this is. So this way, I can create a new layer, have a certain area of that layer selected, and use that layer as a clipping mask for another one. With this selected, we can also change the size or the modification of this layer without impacting the visual. So with this, let's say if I wanted to change this into a bigger size, I can transform it into a larger size. While the image in the background does not change at all, the visibility of that image because of this new layer has reflected. I can also change the text if I would want to. So instead of writing urban, let's say we wanted to write rural. So with this, I have changed the text from urban to rural, and still the layer does not get impacted. The edit is still perfect as how we wanted it. I can still apply effects on this text to make it slightly more comfortable in the entire view. Now with this, I can select a layer mask, and let's paint it, or let's make it slightly softer on the edges. And with this particular layer, which has a visibility because of the layer mask as well, showcases the above layer which has been clipped onto this. You can do this not with just text, but with any layer. You need to make sure that the layer has opacity, and because of that opacity, the layer which has been clipped onto it will be visible. What does opacity have to do with it? If I click on this layer and reduce the opacity of this one, you will see the layer above also gets equally diminished. So basically, the clipping mask works on the opacity level of the layer below. With highest opacity, the image is going to be as clear while at lower opacity levels, the image will get equally diminished. I can show you how this layer does not get impacted by the color of the text. So if I do have a black color, the text is still going to be visible, while I can also check this by turning off the clipping mask layer. So with this, you can see the text is still black. I can change it to white and turn on the clipping mask again, with it showcasing no impact on the visibility of the above layer. So basically, the clipping mask works on depending on the opacity of the layer below. And that's basically the three types of mask that you would use in Photoshop.